Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Greg's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Monday, January 29th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We have not had a video since Friday, so there will be no recap for today. So we're just going to be going over the injuries in play for today's main slate. It's an 11-game main slate on DraftKings, 10 games on FanDuel, so a lot of teams in play today. There are a handful of teams on the back-to-back. There's going to be 4 in total for the main slates, and then there's a 5th one in the Portland Trail Blazers, which that game is not on the slate. So kind of something to take note of, although there was only 5 games yesterday, so it was a little bit surprising there. But after we get done talking through those injuries, we'll get moved over to both DraftKings and FanDuel, talk about my core picks for today. It's going to be one player at each position, so point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get into those injuries for today's slate overall. So we're going to start off with the Clippers. They're without Zubac and Diabate once again, so no real changes for them overall. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're without Darius Garland, Ty Jerome, Tristan Thompson, all once again. Evan Mobley is listed as probable for tonight's game, so it looks like he should be back. He's probably going to be on some type of minutes limit coming off that knee injury. And then we do have Donovan Mitchell listed as probable due to a groin injury as well, which not too worried about at this point in time. Probably his just previous injury that they're putting on there, or like a minor tweak at that. Moving over to the New York Knicks, Mitchell Robinson's obviously out once again, but Julius Randle does join in for tonight's game. He did suffer a dislocated right shoulder in Saturday's game, so he's going to be out for a little while. The good news about that, at least, is that he does shoot left-handed, so it's not his shooting shoulder at the very least. And then on the Charlotte Hornets side, we get Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, and Mark Williams all out once again. And then we have Frank Ntilikina and LaMelo Ball, both listed as questionable for tonight's game. Obviously, the big one there is going to be LaMelo Ball. They've been kind of monitoring how many games, how many minutes it plays in since he's come back from his ankle injury. We'll see whether or not he ultimately ends up playing tonight or not. If he doesn't play, then Ish Smith probably starting in his place and could be an interesting paydown option. Then we move over to the Pelicans. They have no injuries of note at this point in time. For the Boston Celtics, they have Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, both listed as questionable, and then Luke Kornet listed as doubtful. So the Boston Celtics are on the front end of the back-to-back. If you followed my Twitter post for the injuries earlier today, I do apologize. I put them listed as the back-to-back, but they played Saturday, they play today, and then the back-to-back tomorrow. So we'll probably see Al Horford today. We'll see if Porzingis is back or not. I would assume that Porzingis is at least out tonight's game with that ankle injury. Al Horford probably plays. Then Horford sits tomorrow, and then we'll see whether or not Porzingis or Kornet could play in that game. But if they can't, probably ends up being Quetta getting a lot of minutes at that center position overall. Moving down to the Phoenix Suns, they're one of the 4 teams on the main slate for the back-to-backs, so we'll be checking out their injury report as the day moves along. Joseph Nurkic did miss their game yesterday, so we'll see whether or not he's back tonight or not. And then for the Miami Heat, they appear to be all the way healthy at this point in time. Moving over to the Utah Jazz, they also appear to be all the way healthy at this point in time. Then we move over to the Brooklyn Nets. Dorian Finney-Smith is out for tonight, so that's a new one. And then Day'Ron Sharpe also out. He's been out for a little while now at this point in time. But Ben Simmons is listed as probable coming off that back injury. He's not anybody that we want to play for DFS, but it's at least something to note, especially regarding his minutes and kind of seeing where they go from here. And then we move down to the Los Angeles Lakers. Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, both out once again. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, both listed as questionable technically, but both probably going to end up playing tonight either way. For the Houston Rockets, we got Tari Eason and Victor Oladipo both out once again. Jabari Smith is not listed on the injury report. We'll see whether or not that holds steady as the day moves along, though, since he's been out a couple of different games where he has not started the day on the injury report. Then we move over to the Washington Wizards. Isaiah Livers is out once again. On the Spurs side, we got Zach Collins. This is questionable, so we'll see whether or not he plays tonight or not. Obviously, if he doesn't play, Victor Wembanyama is still starting at center either way, but we could see Mamu or Barlow kind of eat up those backup minutes. Maybe a potential value to be had there, but nothing too crazy. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, we got Jalen Clark out once again. Mike Conley dealing with a little bit of hamstring injury, listed as questionable for tonight's game. We'll see whether or not he ultimately plays or not. If he's out once again, then we're going to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Probably going to be an interesting value option on both sides, although his price tag's been moving up as of late. The Oklahoma City Thunder are one of those teams that are on the back-to-back, so we'll just see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. The only guy that was out yesterday for them was Trey Mann, though. Then we move down to the Sacramento Kings. Sasa Vichenko is listed as questionable once again due to his ankle injury. Kind of expect him to miss once again tonight. And then the Memphis Grizzlies side, they're another team that's on the back-to-back, so we'll just see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. And then for the Orlando Magic, another team that is on the back-to-back, so that is another injury report we'll be looking for as the day moves along. And then for the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving does remain out. And then we have Dwight Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., and Dante Exum all listed as questionable to play. And then Maxi Kleber listed as probable due to his toe injury. And then for the Milwaukee Bucks, just Giannis listed as probable once again, although it is due to illness. So we'll see if he's feeling all right, especially as we get to like shoot around or anything else like that. If anything does change with him throughout the day, we'll obviously make a note of it. And then for the Denver Nuggets, Kankar and Strother both out once again. This is a game that is only on the DraftKings side, so just make note of that. And then we move down to the last game of the night, which is not on either main slate. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are without Covington, Lofton, and Melton all once again. And then Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Tyrese Maxey all listed as questionable for tonight's game. Tobias Harris has missed a couple games with an illness. Assume that he's probably healthy by this point in time, so he should probably play. Joel Embiid, it sounded like the Denver altitude supposedly was messing up his knee and gave it some soreness, but would expect him to play tonight. And then Tyrese Maxey's kind of up in the air at this point in time. And then for the Portland Trail Blazers, they are one of those teams that are on the back-to-back for today overall. So if you're playing the single game slate for this one overall, just keep an eye out on that injury report as the day moves along. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for today's slate. As always, I will be posting all the injury updates down in the comments as they do come out throughout the day, as well as all the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. So definitely be sure you're checking up down in the comments, especially as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So on the DraftKings side, at the point guard position, I got John Conchar here at $4,800. He's a guy that's been going out playing like 27, 28 minutes a night. He's been doing all right for this Memphis team. They're very shorthanded once again. It's a pace-up spot versus Sacramento Kings once again tonight. I do currently have him projected for about 27 DraftKings points. Looks like a pretty solid option at this point in time. Could have a little bit upside for more, could have a little bit downside for less, but a relatively cheap value at that. Then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Kevin Huerter on the opposite side of that game, $5,200. Been playing bigger minutes as of late, and he's been playing pretty well for the Sacramento Kings team overall. And you're only looking for 26 points out. He's only averaging 22 so far on the season, but like I said, he's been playing better as of late. Definitely do like the upside that he does present. It's a little bit of pace-up spot tonight as well versus a pretty weak Memphis team overall, so definitely like his upside. And I currently have him projected for 28 DraftKings points tonight. Then at small forward, we're going back to Chris Middleton once again, $6,500, looking for 32, 33 out of him, averaging about 30 on the season so far, but been playing better as of late. He's had at least 36 DraftKings points in his last 4 games, so definitely do like that upside. A little bit slower matchup versus Denver, but Milwaukee plays pretty fast just in general so far this season. Obviously, that could change a little bit with Doc Rivers coming over as their new head coach, so we'll keep an eye on that as the season moves along. But I do like Chris Middleton once again tonight. Currently, I'm projected for about 36, 37 DraftKings points overall. And then at power forward, we're going to go with Josh Hart here at $5,400. Probably in that starting lineup, but no Julius Randle tonight. So looking for at least 27 points out. So when he goes out there and he plays like starter size minutes, he actually is a really good player. You're usually getting about 29, 30 points out. He's a guy that contributes in a lot of different categories, whether it's scoring, rebounds, assists, a little bit defensively here and there as well. It's a really favorable matchup versus the Charlotte Hornets too. So definitely do like him quite a bit tonight. Currently, I'm projected for that 29, 30 points overall. And then last but not least, we have Nikola Jokic at that center position, $11,300. Looking for 57 out of him. He's averaging 60 on the season. Pace up spot tonight versus the Milwaukee Bucks, so definitely do like that just in general. Currently, I'm projected right around that 60-point range, but definitely does have a ton of upside for more as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $16,800 remaining, $5,600 per player. So when you look at it from that sense, it looks like a little bit more of a balance build type of day. We'll see what values ultimately do open up throughout the day from all the injury news as it does come out, especially in terms of the injury reports for all the teams that are on the back-to-back. Could be some good values that open up throughout the day. Otherwise, maybe we're looking a little bit more like a balanced build overall. But definitely like the core 5 that I do have here to start the day over on the DraftKings side. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, the pricing's a little bit tighter. These guys, probably looking more like GPP type of plays, a little bit more upside, a little bit more downside. There's not as many guys that would stand out as like great cash options over on FanDuel today. So keep that in mind as you're building out your lineups. Typically, myself personally, I just play more GPPs than cash nowadays anyways, just because cash has become so redundant. Every site is projecting things pretty similar. A lot of the cash builds are going to be, 90% the same. It's only like 1 or 2 player difference. So if you're into that thing, go right ahead. But for me personally, it's something I kind of got out of a little bit more so last year and then really haven't touched as much this season as well. But at the point guard position, we're going to go with James Harden. He's $8,600. We're looking for 43 points. It's not the greatest matchup in the world versus Cleveland. It's just kind of a guy. I like his price tag. I like his upside in general. You know, he's averaging about 39 fantasy points per game on the season. Obviously, some of that was him getting back into game shape. Some of it was Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup to start off the year. And then he's kind of done pretty well since then. So I do like him quite a bit at this price tag. Currently, I'm projected for 44 fantasy points tonight. Definitely does have a ton of upside for more, which we've seen a lot in recent games for him outside of their most recent game, which happened to be on the back-to-back as well. Then we're going to move down to the shooting guard with Jalen Suggs. Keep an eye out on him as the Magic are on the back-to-back today. He was dealing with a little bit of a knee issue at one point in time, but he did play 32 minutes yesterday. If he's able to play like 30 minutes once again tonight, going to look like a pretty interesting option. You're assuming that Markelle Fultz is probably going to sit out on the second half of the back-to-back tonight as well, so could be an interesting spot for him versus Dallas. You know, Dallas is a little bit shorthanded. There's obviously no Kyrie Irving, a couple other guys banged up at this point in time. Do like Jalen Suggs quite a bit. I do currently have him projected right around 27 FanDuel points tonight overall. He's a guy that does get some help from the steals and blocks department over on the FanDuel side. If he's going out there, if he's doing a little bit of everything, if he's shooting the ball at a decent clip, going to look like a pretty good upside play at the same time as well. And then we're going to move down to small forward with Josh Hart. He's $5,600, so a little bit more expensive over on FanDuel, looking for at least 28 out. And I currently have him projected for 29 tonight. Safe to assume that he gets the start with no Julius Randle out there. And when Josh Hart goes out and he plays those starter-sized minutes, 30 minutes or more, he's the guy that's typically getting you right around 29, 30 fantasy points overall. So it looks like a really safe play tonight overall. If you were looking for a cash game option, if he's out there in that starting lineup, he would probably be one of those guys tonight. And it's a pretty decent matchup versus the Charlotte Hornets as well. Then we're going to move down to power forward with Kyle Kuzma. He's $8,000, looking for at least 40 points on him. Goes against the San Antonio Spurs tonight. It's a pretty good pace-up spot. Both these teams are not the greatest at this point in time. Should be a pretty back and forth, a high-paced game just in general. So that should favor a guy like Kyle Kuzma. And like I said, you're looking for about 40 points on him. He's averaging about 37 so far on the season. He's been playing pretty well as of late, too, so I like the upside he does present overall. Currently, I'm projected for 42 fantasy points on FanDuel tonight, but definitely does have some pretty strong upside for more. Has a little bit downside for less at the same time as well. Then last but not least, at the center position, nobody that I really liked here today, so I ended up on Derek Lively, $6,200. It's a decent matchup against the Orlando Magic, who have been kind of hit or miss versus centers this year. Oddly enough, though, Goga Bitadze was doing pretty well in terms of defense when he was out there, but we've been seeing more of Wendell Carter Jr. as of late, who once upon a time looked pretty good defensively, but not as much as of late. So like the upside Derek Lively presents just in general. He's had really good high upside games when he plays minutes and he plays well, and then he's had really low downside games at the same time. So a really risky pick tonight overall, but currently I'm projected right around 30 points. He does have some upside for more, but some obvious downside for less, as we've seen throughout the season overall. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed on the FanDuel side, you have $26,300 remaining, just under $6,600 per player. So once again, looking a little bit more like a balance build type of day. Obviously, if we get some value opening up, we could probably afford to pay up for another pretty good player as well. But we'll see what that looks like as the day moves along. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, January 29th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then, as always, I'll be posting all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day down in the comments, as well as those starting lineups as they come out throughout the evening. And then, as always, I will be posting my updated core about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock, so definitely be on the lookout for that. It will be listed as a pinned comment down below. If there's any other additional changes to the updated core after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to that pinned comment. So definitely be sure you're looking out down there in the comments as we do get closer to lock for all that information. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it's just NBA DFS Monday through Friday in terms of the core pick videos. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user at any one of those 3 sites, When you sign up, you make your first deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For parlay play and price picks, it's a 100% match up to $100. For BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. And then if you do have any other additional questions related to that, feel free to drop them down in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.